I must say Minister Moore has been a real champion in this and other regards. CMF, launched less than a year ago, was an important step in the right direction, but it is only one piece of a larger puzzle. And in the meanwhile, as we've been seeing over the last day and a half, the speed of change has neither paused nor slowed down. If anything, it's accelerated and introduced even greater uncertainty to an industry in radical flux. L'année dernière, j'ai raconté comment une vénérable institution comme l'ONF, qui était ancrée dans les médias traditionnels, était capable de faire des changements substantiels et de montrer la voie dans l'univers de la création et de la distribution numérique. Over the past 3 years, as I spoke of the impact of the digital revolution, I tended to get the same set of quizzical responses. Yes, it's all well and good enough for you as a public agency, but for us in the private sector, there's no business model. Our traditional businesses are being called into question without any bridge to new ways of doing business. Today, I want to address some of those issues. I'd like to do so by examining how we are responding to the business challenges and see if there are some conclusions that may be more broadly applicable, and to make some proposals, concrete proposals. And first of all, just a little aside, being a public agency did not mean that resources were to hand to adapt to new ways of doing business. The NFB has been suffering financial erosion year after year with a cumulative decline of about 25% in purchasing power over the last decade. It was clear that in time of budget restraints, there was not going to be any new money for digital investment, and nor could we explore the options available in the private sector, whether through private investment, borrowing, or going to the capital markets. We had to find the resources internally from our ongoing operating funds, and we are now in the 4th year of an ongoing rigorous fiscal exercise that reallocates substantial funds internally to our 2 fundamental priorities, programming and accessibility. Auparavant, 7 à 8% du budget annuel de l'ONF provenait de ses revenus de distribution qui se situaient en gros entre 5,5 et 6,5 millions de dollars. Les écarts d'une année à l'autre dépendaient du cycle de production ou d'un cas particulier qui pouvait accroître les revenus. However, over the last 4 years, we have seen a steady erosion of our traditional television business. This is not unique to the Film Board. We are a specialized producer of POV one-off docs and auteur animation. Both have become victims of the increasingly fragmented television landscape. There's been a disappearance of slots, and where such slots are retained, they've been moved to off-prime time. We've seen a significant shift of broadcasters' doc resources to series and factual entertainment. And the ecosystem, which allowed for a thriving niche for the single doc, has tilted out of balance. CMPA's own 2010 profile underscores that TV doc output has declined sharply, with most of the decline coming from the English language market. But when this year's figures are compiled, we'll see how the decline is affecting French language markets as well. And it's not just Canada. What is happening here is reflected elsewhere. One of our most important American clients used to be the Sundance Channel. Last summer, they pulled the plug on one-off docs. In France, CNC released a study showing similar consistent decline over the last 3 years, with a 10% decline in sales and pre-sales in 2009 over the previous years. And I want to make clear that this is not about a lack of audience interest. We only have to look at the remarkable double-digit growth of audiences for a festival like Hot Docs, or our own experience of steady, continual growth in our online audiences. What we are witnessing is a ferocious battle in the broadcast world for position and eyeballs. The threat from online services seemed to heat up almost weekly. The arrival of Netflix sowed a certain amount of panic. And whatever happens with usage-based billing, we're only seeing the thin edge of the wedge. The Consumer Electronics Show last month had a major emphasis on connected TVs. No need to plug your large screen via your computer or Xbox. Direct connections and services like Google TV are ready to steer audiences away from the traditional broadcast and cable world. In this environment, broadcasters are going for the jugular to retain and, if possible, grow audiences. The ratings bar has shifted. A respectable audience figure is no longer good enough. And then there are other considerations such as ease of marketing and ability to amortize marketing costs across a series as opposed to individual, however worthy shows, documentaries. And television isn't going away anytime soon. In terms of ad dollars, it will dominate for years. But the predictions of growth from Deloitte's or PricewaterhouseCoopers focus on the aggregate picture. They are not indicative of growth possibilities in the niche segments in which we operate. So as a niche player, it seems a pretty gloomy picture. I'm looking at year-over-year revenue declines in the context of overall financial erosion at the very time we need to keep investing in new technologies and new ways of doing things. There is a limit to how much we can do so by internal economies and reallocations, and frankly, we've just about reached those limits. Yet, in this context, I'm working on financial projections that will see a 25% increase in revenues over the next 3 years. So, am I being foolhardy or just plain stupid? Please don't answer. I think I'm being both prudent and conservative. We are moving into the next phase of our adaptive mechanisms to the profound disruptions of the digital era. Our revenues have depended on an organizational structure and practices that were anchored in our self-conception as a classical television and film distributor. It's how we realized our legislated mandate to distribute the works we produce. And in the world of the orderly marketplace, it made sense, and we knew how to carve out and maintain our place in that world and to live and work in symbiosis with the private sector. Over the last year, even as we were moving in other areas of the organization to seize hold of the digital revolution, we started to put in place a different notion of our role, one in which the classic distributor was only part of a larger and different whole. And it's part of a new business plan. And here are some of the main elements of what this business plan looks like, and things in this that will apply to you. Educational and institutional market accounts for about 40% of our revenues. It's not an easy market. School budgets are constrained. Curricula vary by province, and purchasing decisions are often highly decentralized. Now, as schools are increasingly becoming wired, there are major American players with vast digital catalogs poised and pushing to enter the Canadian market. We've been able, over the last couple of years, to license NFB.ca at the province-wide level as well as to individual school boards. The fact that we have trusted Canadian, French, and English content gives us a competitive edge, but it's not enough. So later this year, we'll be launching Education Plus. It'll be a password-protected, subscription-based service for educators with a range of additional functionalities and pedagogic features. We've worked with teachers to map works against curricula, province by province. We've added things that will make it easier for classroom use, including bookmarks and teacher guides. Lots of things. We're going to do online workshops with teachers to allow them to use this material.